Try to give you just this one screen here, not every screen. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. And so I got some good questions and feedback post the last session, which was cool. So today, obviously it's a 10-part series. So the first was just general capabilities, and I know that by some of the faces, it was kind of surprising some of the things we can do. Today we'll have an even more incredible one, and I think that I'll just use a quick anecdotal story. And I am a huge believer in sharing everything that you can. I read about 3 books a week, roughly. The current one that I'm reading is this one. It's called The Boron Letters. Highly, highly recommend it for anyone that's doing anything. And it shows that we can't be replaced, which is even better, even with all the marketing and AI that's out there. But it's an excellent, excellent book that will teach you some things about marketing. It's letters written from prison. How much better can that happen? So from the perspective of what we learned last week, we kicked off and we said we're going to get into the CRM and we're going to do automations and chatbots. The chatbots is simply going to be to point out where you can find the chatbots, bots in particularly in Bold Trail, and then I'll show you a couple of other capabilities with relation to them. My only recommendation with chatbots is whatever solution you pick. There's lots of them out there. I mean, I'm sure if you look on Facebook, post this, Facebook's going to deliver to you 100 chatbot solutions because it's listening to us. And when you get those, my suggestion is make sure that there's an intervention, meaning that when chats begin and as soon as it starts to get good, 3 communications, 4 communications, it immediately injects you into the process. That's the guiding light there. Do not let the chatbot do all the talking because you're going to lose the contact. They will mess up somewhere along the way and you will not. So you want to take it over. Some people used to call this omni-channel communications, whatever it may be. But for chatbots, that's my biggest piece of advice is make sure that you can intervene and step into the chat. Doesn't matter what solution you pick, they're all using the same engines and very, very similar outcomes. And I do use some chatbot nurturing from my website. So when people come in, they start a conversation, it starts to interview them, and then I'm able to step in and grab them. Now, when I talk about the tech, I'm going to go back here for a second, make sure that you're seeing it. Just want to make sure you're seeing my screen there. Are you seeing the?
Yeah, but it's very small.
Okay, give me one sec here. Let's see. How's that? Any bigger?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. All right. So Bold Trail. In my humble opinion, there are 3 CRMs to be used in the industry. One of them is Bold Trail, one of them is Lofty, and the last is Brivity. And part of the reason for that is that in the solutions themselves, they have a ton of features and functionalities. I am not personally a Bold Trail user, but I do use it because it feeds me my leads to my instance, and I'm very familiar with the solution because I used it heavily up until recently. I'm going to show you a couple of things that are AI based in the solution, and then we're going to hop out and everything's going to be in ChatGPT because I look at a CRM as a really instrumental piece of the environment, and I'm going to tell you what I think CRMs are good for and what they're not. So first and foremost is capture and track leads. And if everyone could put in the chat what CRM they're using, that would be great. Just put which one you're using. And then centralizing communications. So having a central place for all communications is pretty effective because I have a very poor memory. But when I go into the CRM and I look at my timeline, I have a really great memory, right? And eventually you will see CRMs, including Bold Trail, in your timeline. Call comes in, pops up, gives you an AI summary of what you know about the person so that you're immediately, boom, you answer the call and you know. That is definitely coming. It's not something that's out there in the future. It will be here in short order. Automated follow-ups. Now here's the deal. Everybody's seen all the base level Max Tech Bold Trail campaigns, right? And some of us have activated them, and clients are kind of tired of them, right? Now, how does AI intervene in this? AI allows you to be hyper focused on that person and customize it. And I'm going to show you actually how to do that in real time. We're going to do a couple live ones here. And I see most people are Bold Trail, a couple of Lofties. Conversion is kind of like the Bold Trail predecessor. Got it. So I think that when we're talking about this, it's relevant. And I don't care what CRM you're in. All of this is relevant once we take it out to the ChatGPT side. Now, some of it's going to blow your mind and some of it is going to challenge you. And the biggest challenge in AI is asking good questions. If you're not an effective questioner, then you will not get good results from AI. And I'm going to show you how to do that, but it's a habit and it takes a bit of time. I'm going to give you a quick practical example. I was coming back from Ocean Beach this weekend, and I talked with ChatGPT for 1 hour. Conversation back and forth, talking with ChatGPT. And what I did was I researched a very good team locally, and it told me in depth everything about them. And when I say in depth, it told me how many agents, how the agents are performing, how they market, what events they run. And I asked it questions. I would say, what does the team do for events? And they would say they have a buyer's one scheduled here, here, and here, and they told me the dates. I said, what is the marketing materials around the buyer's console? And it literally told me everything they're putting out there, right? We're going to turn that around because I was talking about the CRM and what the effectiveness of a CRM is, right? That's me doing research on competitors. But is a client any different? Right? I don't think so. I need to do homework on clients. And we can spend a ton of time. Like when someone enters our open house, the moment that they put their information in, which we require, immediately a process starts in the back where we do full research on them. We know Facebook, we know all their friends, we know all their family, we know where they live, we verify their phone numbers and emails to make sure they're real. All that happens immediately, right? And then it builds a story. So when I reach out to the people and I have my note, beautiful family came in with 2 children, I can go back and say, hey, it was great seeing you and your kids yesterday. And I just wanted to know if you had any interest in the home, right? Now, I wouldn't, quite honestly, I don't ask that silly question. I'm just using it as an example. I'm more along the lines of the opposite. I believe in questions that are the opposite, right? So a good example would be, hi, how you doing? I was great to see you yesterday at the open house with your 2 children, blah, blah, blah. And then I know that only 4% of people that enter open houses buy them. If this one wasn't for you, can I get you another one? Right? So how we position questions, it's all about questions, right? So automated follow-ups, segment and prioritize leads, and improve client experience. Take what I said about the research for that team and turn it around to a person, right? So when I say a person, I mean, let's say I have a person named Glenn Baker, right? And I want to know more about how to sell to Glenn Baker. So when I'm in my instance of MaxTech, I'm gonna just making sure you're seeing MaxTech still, right? I'm gonna pop open my Glenn Baker contact, right? And you're going to see all the things that you normally see. I'm not going to train you on this. Tyler does an incredible job. So use his trainings for those. And there's also some Bold Trail videos. But the 3 areas that you're going to see some AI integrated today in Bold Trail is under the text, under the email, and I unsubscribe myself, so I'll subscribe myself again so it shows up as a feature, and under calls. So if I wanted to send an email to Glenn Baker myself, and I use this top right button of use smart assistant, it's going to ask me, do I want to send a welcome message? Do I want to send an email check-in or promote a listing or custom prompt? Now, if I want to do a custom prompt, I can say, I haven't talked to Glenn in a while. Let me just go here. I haven't talked to Glenn in a while. Can you do a follow-up to see how he's doing on his home search? Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second and tell you exactly what I did there. I have a microphone on my computer. You'll see this little wonderful record button at the bottom left here. When you click it, you can talk to your machine. Now, here's the catch with Bold Trail. You got to talk really fast. If you pause, it will stop recording. So you have to talk really fast. There's the catch. But now I say craft the message. And now AI in the background creates a message and plugs it in with all the wonderful stuff, including my signature, right? So it says, I hope this message finds you well. It's been a while since we last spoke, and I want to check to see how your home search is going, if any. Now, if I go back and I want to do that and say, be more aggressive, spell aggressive right, and then craft the message, it will be a little bit more aggressive as well. How you specifically ask questions of AI, it will react. So that was how you do an email. The same exact thing goes for text. Send a text, right? Use the smart assistant down at the bottom. Hit the button. It's going to ask you what you want to do. If you want just basic ones, you can just click these. If you want to do a custom prompt, which I prefer to do custom prompts, here's the reason why. The world is filled with generic garbage. Filtering through all of it is darn near impossible, right? When you get a message from somebody that's generic, you feel it. When you get a message from somebody that's customized, you also feel it, right? And you usually respond. I would be a liar to say I haven't bought a bunch of stuff off Facebook, right? And it's a message that hits home for me that is the most important. That message that resonates with me is the most important. A custom message is that. Those are the ones that win in all the ads, right? So when I say custom prompts, it should be you. Now, here's the catch. Bold Trail doesn't keep a running history of you. That's the catch. So it's really just based on the prompt. So you've got to be super duper specific in order to do that. Now, ChatGPT, on the other hand, it begins to generate your voice, right? And it understands you. So when you're talking about ChatGPT, totally different game. It's learning as it goes, and it's going to be more like you every interaction you have. And you're going to see very clearly how much ChatGPT in a moment looks and sounds like me. It's not replacing me, it's really copied me. It's a mirror image of me. So with that said, on the Bold Trail front, that is almost the extent of their AI, with the exception of embedding chatbots into the websites. That can be done under the Web IDX feeds. And basically, there's a setting under the web settings here that allow you to plug in any chat based item. And I'm not going to subscribe to any particular one. All I want to do is tell you where you can do that. And it's down here somewhere. There's a box that you put it into. I'm just going to do a quick search on chat. There it is. So basically, you'll buy a solution and then you'll plug their little script right into that box, and then it will automatically start to chat and bring you in. And you'll have to have the app likely on your phone, or you'll have to have the app in your on your computer. I will tell you, interactions with chatbots are generally fairly low unless someone comes to your website. If you don't have a high traffic website or high SEO website, the likelihood of getting those isn't so great. So my suggestion is, if you're going to spend money somewhere, remember last meeting I said, don't spend money on this, don't spend money on that. If you're going to spend money somewhere, it's going to be on ChatGPT, and it should be after today, once you see what we're going to do next. So on the chatbot front, it's cool technology. I will tell you the level of chatbot interaction on my website. I have a pretty high traffic website, to the tune of about 40,000 people coming a month, and interacting. And that's not listing ones. That's just people from outside coming in. And I have 2 interactions a month on chatbot. So not money well spent, right? And I say this because of that. Now, embedded in my CRM, though, I do have some chatbot functionality. And I just want to make sure you're seeing my screen as it switched over here. It switched over to my Lofty for a moment. A little thumbs up. Good. Okay, so here's what happens in Lofty. I basically created a prompt and I said, who should I call today? So how many times you come in the morning, you're like, man, who do I prospect today? Who have I not touched in my database? And then you get into the sort of doom, right? You're going through your sort list, trying to figure out who to call. And then you're going through, okay, I'll do this one today. But what if it was to tell you very specifically different details? So I said, who do I call today? Give me 25 names. And then the system said, well, do you have an idea what you want to call? And I said, renters. So it created a list of 25 renters that I can just churn away at and run down the list. AI will show us our tasks, it'll show us interactions. One other thing that it will do is it can be turned on and interview. So if people come to the website 3 times, it'll start to interact with them and say, hey, I saw that you're at the website 3 times. Can I help you with anything? And then they'll start to interact. My only comment with all AI chat is, remember, you need to intervene. You have to step in. They always die when you don't step in. So that will be a big one. Now, I'm not actually a proponent of going crazy over the AI chat, but I am a huge proponent about ChatGPT. So I'm going to give you, when we talk about CRMs, let's go back to the primary tenant, right? The primary tenant is, we want to generate business. We are in a business of sales. Sales is built on business and math, right? So when we talk about what I want to do here, I have in my CRM, let's say me, Glen Baker, right? I've run into Glen at an open house. I know that Glen lives in Booton. I know that Glen he gave me his information. And now I want to ask some questions, right? So what if I ask the question that and say, I want to do a real estate transaction with Glen Baker. So hopefully you're all seeing my chat screen. I want to do a real estate action with Glen Baker of Booton. What are the ways I can get his attention and build trust, detail what he likes, his personality, and his personal interests? So let me just take this back so you completely understand what I'm doing. I've met a net new prospect. They've gotten in my database. I want to know more about them. How many people even go that deep most of the time? Most don't. I know most of my agents don't, right? So I'm literally asking, how do I sell to Glenn Baker? Now, this is not knowing me, right? It doesn't know me at this point. I'm just putting it in. Now, if I hit enter here, it's going to tell me, and you guys can assess how accurate it is. It's searching the web to find Glenn Baker. It's searching LinkedIn. It's searching Facebook. It's searching everywhere. It went out and found a podcast that I was on. So it's telling about my professional background, right? First, it says top tier realtor. Second, it says, thank you so much for ChatGPT promoting that. Nice. Digital expertise, community involvement. I'm involved in the fire department. I deal with homes for heroes. Personality traits. Now, here's where it gets great. And this can happen. Do it for yourself. Try this in ChatGPT on yourself. Client describes Glenn as responsive, professional, and attentive. He's known to go above and beyond, right? Glenn's knowledgeable and honest, community oriented. Now, here is the key, right? How do you build trust with Glenn? Emphasize your appreciation for community involvement. Clearly outline your goals. Show that you've researched local market. Leverage digital platforms. And it basically goes through. Now, I actually didn't think this was detailed enough. So I asked another question of the same exact prompt. And the prompt was, whoops, let me go back here. It was, what is Glenn's corporate background? Man, if you're selling a luxury listing and you don't know that person's background, you are nuts, because I do. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to build a relationship with them. So now I ask, what's Glenn's corporate background? Because it showed that I was corporate in there, right? And this is a conversation window. So ChatGPT is a chat. It's exactly that. It's a chat window. And as I'm going through, you'll see here his corporate background, a successful career in the outsourcing business, and it keeps going down the list of the things that it knows about me, right? He transitioned to real estate, all that stuff. Now, what is the best way to get Glenn to refer business to me? I'm going to ask the question. So here's how you work with Glenn. Show up with results, not resumes, right? It says mention measurable outcomes, share brief but specific success stories, talk like someone who protects the client interest at all costs. If you do this for yourself, I promise you it'll be a mirror image. If you have no social presence, if you have no presence anywhere, right? If you have nothing, you may not come up without a deep search, which is down at the bottom here. But I will tell you, this is a very accurate assessment. He'd be proactive in communication, anticipate challenges, deliver value first, understand my network, right? First responders, senior downsizing, that stuff. This is how you sell to somebody. If you're going into a listing appointment and you're not going to ChatGPT and asking it this, it's craziness, because I can tell you that I am, and others will. And it's right at your fingertips. Very little that you have to do, right? So I think that the point here is the amount of research that you can do is incredibly fast and incredibly effective. If I say to this same thing, go to Zillow and look and give me, sorry, my fingers, me a summary of Morris agent reviews. Let's just do that, see what it says. And when I was talking the other day about power, so there is an immense amount of power needed for AI. And when you don't have a subscription, you move to the back of the bus, right? They don't give you the access that people who pay for that access get at $20 a month. It's worth every penny. I literally leave AI up every moment of the day. When an email comes in, I copy the email and say, how do I respond to this? Now, there is a way to do it. If you're a Gmail user, Gemini is included. Most of my responses are not me working at an email response. I don't have the kind of time in the day to sit there and backspace every second thought that I have, right? So this is what AI does. So here is a good summary. My suggestion is, if you get ChatGPT, this should be your first action from ChatGPT. Go in, type in your name, grab your Zillow reviews, and ask it to do a summary. And then take this and post it on social media, right? Really cool way to promote some business. Now, that wasn't really why I was showing you this, but it's a really cool way to promote some business. Why I am showing you this is that it can go out and summarize practically any data for you. You just have to tell it where to go. Did you notice how specific my request was here? My request was go to Zillow. I didn't say go to Google. I didn't say anywhere else. I said go to Zillow. So when I want to use ChatGPT for marketing purposes for my clients, and I'm going to use a very practical example. You've met someone at an open house. You want to follow up with them, right? How do I do that and have multiple touches and make it useful? Right? Because we all know that the generic ones are cool. It most likely gets you on the unsubscribe list, right? So when you send it out and the person goes, no value to me, then you very quickly get them off your list so you can't market to them anymore. And that is not what our intent is, right? Our intent is to keep them hooked and engaging with us at all times. So here is a perfect prompt for everyone looking to do a smart campaign. I created this prompt and it says, create a smart campaign. Twice, actually, I said it there. Sorry. I was talking to it. A smart campaign for Bold Trail that includes 28 steps. How specific is that? 28 steps. Calls, texts, and emails. Only include 4 calls a year. Make it of value to someone who purchased a home from the Morris Agent team in my voice, right? So as I said, your voice will get better as time goes on, so don't worry about that. What you do have to worry about is being very, very specific. And why I'm so specific about 28 steps is if I just say create a campaign, it may create 4. I know that I want 28 steps throughout the year, right? So now I'm going to hit enter on this. Now imagine your smart campaigns on steroids, right? It's going to create a smart campaign for you. Now, what it's done though here, I don't necessarily love the way it did it. And here is why. I wasn't specific enough. It's still going to fill this out for a few seconds here, so it takes a bit for it to go. But it's creating your Zestimate is lying. Want the actual number a lender would use? I got you, right? Very, very much in my voice, very much the way I interact. But this isn't very useful for me to load it into Bold Trail or Lofty. What I want to say is put this in chronological order. Put this in a chrono order so that I can enter into the CRM. And once that's done, it's still populating, as you can tell down here. It's on number 8, still going. And it will create a chronological order. Now, here's the catch. Some of these things are kind of like just the starting point. You want to offer something of value to the client. So what if I told you free things bring a lot of business, right? Giving things away for free certainly does a lot for the business. But the problem will be most people who give free things away go out and buy some generic piece of junk and they pawn it off as their own, and it's not in their own voice and not of great value. But what if you said to ChatGPT, go out to 5 sources, these are the 5 sources, gather the salient points, the most important points that you can, and then create a document 2 pages long with graphics that explains the home buying process and how you can jump in with both feet. Then you take that and you update it for your expertise, right? Those 2 pages are going to be a great start, but you've got to build it out so that it has your expertise in it. And I talked about this on the first session. This is an amplification of you, right? It's not replacing you, and you can't do that. So I'm going to basically say, put it in chrono order so that you can see this, and I'm going to do one more enhancement on this. Now, I'm going to go back for a moment, assuming some of you haven't used ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, the window that you see is a chat window. What that means is it's an individual thread on a particular topic. So you'll notice that the prior one, the Bold Trail Smart campaign on the left side is here, engaging with Glen Baker's on the left side. Each one of these is a separate conversation. It's almost like I walked up and said, hi, Glenn, how you doing? Now, you have to stay on thread. Now, the coolest part is you can go back to any of them and continue the conversation. My wife would love that, but so that she could actually, I would be listening. I wouldn't say, did you say something? So when you go in, you can go into these conversations again and again. Now, in this instance, the Bold Trail one has now given me the campaign with the date, what the comment is, your subject line, and actually what it has as the content. And it's in a table format. I can keep enhancing this and say, create documents for the items that refer to documents. And it will create buyer's guides. It'll create home improvement guides, all those things for us. If I want to write a book with ChatGPT, I can literally write a book. But remember, very few will buy it because it has to be you. You have to be able to customize it to your voice, okay? So when I build it out, that's how I essentially do it. I build it out with that in mind, right? We're at 10:24. So now I want to open up for questions or tell me something you want to prompt in ChatGPT.
So I would just like to know, how do we acquire the Chat GPT? Is that through Bold Trail or that Lofty that I'm not familiar with?
Yeah, so ChatGPT, if you go to ChatGPT, and that's Glen Paul Thomas at the end, if you go to chatgpt.com, you can get it separately right there. It's a standalone platform. There are others out there. A lot of my training is going to be on ChatGPT because it's one of the more mature models. I use Google Gemini. It's another one that's there. And Gemini is excellent as well. There's lots of them out there. Cloud, all these other ones that are out there. I just say get one that you're comfortable with. The prompts are generally always the same. How you create automations will change. And the next ones we're going to do, like next one is marketing for real estate services. I'm literally going to show you how to create landing pages. I'm going to show you how to create social media posts. I'm going to show you how to create Word or Canva documents using ChatGPT. But each and
So,
every.
Glenn, I'm
Yep.
sorry, quick question. So I have Chat GPT, but I don't have I guess, the paid version.
Yep.
So trying to figure out how to acquire that.
Down on, if you look up at the top right corner here where it says Glen Plus, you can say upgrade plan.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Glenn, do
Okay.
you find ChatGPT more specific for real estate compared to Gemini?
No. So I actually, for the training, I might swap one of these because there was a good question that came up from last session. So all all these large language models and all these big data models tend to have what's called hallucinations. So like when you drop that tab of acid in the 70s, it's the same thing, right? They have this, you ask a question and it brings in everything that it thinks, but it's not really us, right? All the models have that issue. When we create certain things, like in New Jersey and I'm sure everywhere else, there's different Auto Group is one of ours, right? They collect data on the market and then they distribute it on a monthly basis, right? If you want to summarize a particular report and you put in the chat GPT, it will add its own opinion to it. That's an hallucination, right? And the problem with it is all these models have that. So if you're looking for something truly data driven and not somewhat subjective, it's very hard to get that from ChatGPT because it's going out to the model for that. The solution I just brought up here, and I'm going to do a session on this because it's so incredibly cool, is called Notebook LM, which is a Google product. And this product lets you just have the power of AI and only the information that you give it. And I'll give a really practical example. If I was in a medical situation where I had a health issue, I have 5 doctors all coming at me. They're all giving different reports and diagnosis, and there's 5 different Harvard medical reviews that they've done. I can literally take that and put it into a notebook, and it only uses the doctor's opinions and those 5 reference sources for the data. So what would that mean in terms of real estate? I've uploaded into this the report from the Auto Group, and I said to it, give me an idea of how the market is. So give me a summary of the market, right? And I use this here and there. If I wanted to get a summary of fair housing laws, I uploaded all of the fair housing standards and then had it summarize it for me. Now note the difference between this and ChatGPT. If you said, give me all the fair housing rules in New Jersey, ChatGPT will go out to the web. You don't know if any of those sources are valid sources. They could be, Joe Blow publishing it on their website. But when you tell it specifically its source, then it's much more accurate. So there's 2 purposes here. All the AI models like Gemini and others, whatever one you subscribe to, they're going to be great. They're all going to have pretty similar outcomes, quite frankly. They're all going to have, I've used a bunch of them. When you need something very specific for real estate and you're going to use a data source that you're going to reference, that's when you want to definitely use that for sure. One other note, when you upload some of these things I'll use this one as an example. When you upload a February housing report, so I uploaded these 3 reports, you can actually create a 2-person talking podcast of a summary of the information. So literally, it will sound like people are interacting and talking in the background here to that podcast, and it gives you the ability. So like this is, I loaded these three documents, Essex, Morris, and Sussex County into this. It gave me a summary, and this
Hey
is it.
everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're zeroing
hearing
in
that?
on the housing market,
Love
but
it.
not just any housing market.
Right.
We're getting hyper local, specifically Boontontown, New Jersey.
Very cool.
One of our
That was literally all AI generated, the podcast. Like when I say it's everywhere. Now, why would you want a podcast for AI, right? Because we know that when people look us up on all these different sources, it helps to have a broader range of things. I don't have time to do a podcast. I don't have that kind of time, right? I'm selling real estate. But you can create these audio clips which go on your blog. You take the text from that, you reuse it with AI, and all of a sudden you got 10 social media posts. You can put it into a video clip. There's a million things you can do with it. So
Hey Glenn, could you teach it to like if the vernacular is the, instead of it said like Booton Town, I don't know if you call it Booton Town. I know it's like Booton Township and Booton is my general vernacular.
yes.
But if you wanted to change it instead of Booton Town, if you said the town of Booton, if that's the way that people really talk about it, could you say whenever you refer to Booton Town, can you change it to the town of Booton? Would it do that?
And it will remember it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I noticed when you see these AI videos on YouTube, they have these peculiar phraseology, and that would be really cool to save your time.
Oh, okay. So someone asked a question about what would you give away for free? I love information that's relevant, and we have a rule. I have a general rule, and I call it receipts. So if you don't make a deposit, you have no business getting a withdrawal, right? So a deposit is giving people value, and a value is something that people actually use. If I go out to KCM and I take their good old, their buyers and sellers guides, it's probably the most generic thing I've ever seen, right? And I bet if they had three realtors are sending that same thing to them. If I can create a one-page document using AI and basically push out a document that has my voice, my updates, but it helps me get started because writer's block is real, right? Like who's sat in front of a computer for 3 hours trying to create a listing description, right? It's the hardest thing on earth, and it's the shortest 1,500 characters ever. You can turn that around and turn it into documents. Perfect example. Springtime's here. Tell me what I need to do on my home in springtime and what the estimated cost of doing that would be. Create a document that shows that. Plug in your partners to each of those things that need to be done. Send that off to your client. It will take you 30 minutes with AI to create that whole thing. That's a value you give. Now, if you really want to put it on the mainstream, create a landing page using Bold Trail, have them register, and then send that to them after they register, right? That would be a really neat thing to do. So when I say things of value, giving three things away, that's what draws people in. People come for information that they can't get from other people. I always laugh because we're so busy trying to get the generic thing that you are the thing. Like you are the magic. The things you know in your head is what makes all the value in the world. You just don't know how to get it out. So if I say to ChatGPT, tell me the things that I probably know as a realtor that the average person doesn't, and document them, that's a good start. You can ask ChatGPT that question. I promise it'll give you an answer that you're going to like. Right? We're the value. Why are we the value is the question. Let me just see if I missed anything. So ChatGPT, is it safe? You're probably asking the wrong person about the safe piece because I put a lot out on the internet. I'm a believer that I had someone tell me when I first got into real estate, this is 2018, I'm sitting at a table and they said, I don't do any of that social stuff. I don't want people knowing my business. And you know what I did at that moment in time? I gave her the last 4 digits of her social security number and said, the perception of privacy is funny, isn't it? Right? Sitting at the table, I got the last 4 digits of her social. So what the perception of privacy. Now, I am not a proponent of saying I'm in the Bahamas, go rob my house, like post your stuff a week after you're home, right? Don't do that stuff. Be smart, be intelligent, but The privacy piece, it's a perception of reality. I mean, it's out there. If you're anywhere, it's going to find you. And when it looks at the history, it does look at the history if you give it permission across devices. And it will ask some levels, but I'm the wrong guy to ask because it's all out there. I'm not running for presidency, that's for sure.
Glenn, I have a question, and I don't remember if we touched on this yet. So with using a lot of this AI, and I've just recently been learning about this segment, the Google and search engines have the ability to know that it's AI, and they don't push it the same way. Like if I were to do just a video myself, that's gonna get more shares and likes. But when using this AI to, even revising it into our own voices, is it going to be just like a regular post that doesn't get out there the same way? Does it have to go through one of those scrubbers, or do you have any info on that? Is that another class?
No, so it's a great question. There are AI scrubbers. Right now, Google has admitted that they don't necessarily have a bias towards AI content, but it will not rank it as highly as creative content, right? And that's why I say, but think of it the way that you behave. When you see a social media post with a generated AI picture, don't we all just scroll right by, right? But when you see a person with all their imperfections, we stop and blink. And that's the difference, right? So when you're making AI posts, I can tell you, look at if anyone's on here, look at my social media. All of those are AI generated in my voice, but you would not know the difference between me and that post because I took the time to get AI to learn about me. That is the biggest difference. And when it summarizes, that's the key. So the better you train AI, the less it's going to sound generic. It's going to sound more like you and use your words. My only recommendation, I'm going to say this every single training we're on, it's an amplification of you. Let it get you started and you finish the final 40%, right? Let it give you 60% of the content and then it will be original. And don't sit there and word load and stuff because that stuff doesn't work. Every engine on search engine out there knows better than to do word loading. I had a question, landing pages. So landing pages are, everyone sells them, right? That they tell you, buy my landing page, do this, do that. Landing pages are the way that they're in effect. And by the way, I'll post this book again. If you want to know about landing pages and how to craft it, this is it. I had in the book, the guy said, everyone who wanted to open a hamburger shop, right? And they said, everyone had these things. I want a beautiful shop. I want meat. I want the best meat on earth. I want the best tasting buns on earth. And you know what he said he wanted? I want a hungry crowd, right? He didn't care about all the fixings and everything else. All he wanted was a hungry crowd. That is what landing pages are about. You need to figure out and be super specific. Don't say, here's my buyer's guide. Say, if you want to buy a house in LA with no money down, here's the guide. You have to be that specific with landing pages. It needs to hit a person. Don't think it's going to hit the whole entire canvas. And that's where most people get landing pages wrong. They're not super targeted and super specific. And that's how landing pages really work well. You don't expect 300 unless you're selling something for $5.95 that's of huge value and it has a hook. And the hook is important. I use that term in ChatGPT a lot. Give me a hook that's going to have a call to action, right? I want a hook with a call to action. So that was a landing page question. Tyler said there's tools that are free. Yep, so there's lots. Yep. And oh, if you're using it for AI, let me see, video editing, is AI built in to make it easier? Yes. I'm going to show you, I think it's in session 9, actual, and it's going to be Rob and I, we did a video, and I'm going to use that to edit Rob and my video. And in that video, you will see, so who likes video editing? Cool. Nobody does. It's the worst task on earth, right? Honestly. But who can edit a Word document or a Google Doc? I can all day long. The tool that I'm going to show you lets you edit the transcribed text, and that's what edits the video. Then you can add B-roll and things in the background without any work. It does it all for you. And so I absolutely use it for video. I will tell you, performance-wise, text posts that have a really good content, good copyright, and a picture are performing better than video right now. A year ago, I wouldn't have said that. I think people are a little tired of video, very honestly. My text, you'll see a transition. If you look at my Facebook page, I've transitioned to where the people are watching. and that is a really good picture or a reel, and then good copy. Good copy makes a world of difference. Any other questions? Anyone seeing value? I just want to make sure I'm giving the right value. Next one is all marketing. So all we're gonna do is talk about how you get clients with it. That's it. Okay, anything on the list that folks want to see that I can add in?
Glenn, do you have any concerns about like copyright or like plagiarism type of things that AI gets?
I am, don't tell Rob, I'm a loose cannon. I don't worry about such things. And look, most of the time I'm referencing, it'll tell you the source that it's referencing. And if I use a quote, I give the proper citation. Otherwise, it's mostly original content that I'm creating here. And, maybe since I have the screen up, I'll just show one more thing here. Let me just find one here. Let me just find one here. Yeah. So this was a recent post, and I'm going to show you what it is and what it was. So I put up, let me just find this here. Give me one sec. It's going to be right in my feed. I put up a post, this one. So this was the post I put up, and it was the weekend's events, right? Anyone, maybe I shouldn't have left this to the end. If you're posting just sold, under contract, just sold, under contract, please stop. You are not helping yourself, but you can help yourself by integrating 80% personal, 20% business. Be real. If you're a dog foster, put your face next to that dog and do it. The rule is you need to be in the picture, right? I know all of us hate our hair. They hate all the things that you have 1,000 reasons why. I can tell you your tribe is your tribe. They don't care. That's why people buy from you, right? It doesn't matter that your hair is not is a mess or you didn't get it done or whatever. But the thing is that it's you gain new tribes and you gain new people by the type of post you put up. And if you think that social media doesn't bring business, I have people hugging me on Main Street in my town I don't even know, right? But it's about some things that grab people and make you go, wow, this person's a human being, right? So this post literally came from an inquiry on ChatGPT, which was, I'm just trying to find it here. So I said, make a post. Is it possible to fit more life into a single life? I'm being very stoic lately. That was my question. ChatGPT knew me, right? Because I post a lot with ChatGPT and came up with this. I don't think I changed a word of it. Oh yes, I did change a word. I went from you to we. I didn't like the you there. I put we in my post. That was the only change I made. It gets so sharp that you don't have to really think about it. And it does some really cool things, kind of making it so, right? I had one the other day. This is one I put up. It said, I asked for a snarky, data-driven voice. Make a post about the average pig having less body fat than American males and females, right? And ironically, pigs have 16% body fat, humans have more. Now, changed my whole perspective on bacon. So, but people engage with this. Why is engagement important? Because
Well, they're sending me something.
oh, sorry, I heard them. It's important because when you actually post a listing, they'll see it.
Glenn, 1 second. I'm just gonna mute everyone. Give me
Okay,
one
I'll
second.
unmute. Yep. Good. Okay. So the reason why those 80% of posts are super important is that they keep engagement with people. When you actually put up your 20% real estate, they watch. They actually see it, right? So if you don't do that, you're not going to be seen. You may put up a listing page and say, I'm going to be seen. I can tell you statistically you won't unless you get engagement. Give you one last tip before we hop off. If you're about to put up a new hot listing and you want people to look at that thing, put up something that's a little bit racy, not a picture of you in the shower, something a little racy on the not political line, but and if you don't know what to put, ask ChatGPT to give you 10 options. It'll give you 10 options. So for instance, I'll put up something like, man, if I'm putting up a listing in Boonton, hey, traffic on Main Street's been miserable. How do you feel about it? People love misery on social media, right? All the groups. But what happens is they start piling on. That's engagement. Facebook doesn't know the difference. Then you put your listing post up, that baby rides high for a couple days because you have engagement. Oh, I always have one before I put a listing up. You'll see one today. I'm going to put a listing up on Thursday and I'm leading up to it. I'll put up an engaging post to do it. I don't care what people say to it. I just want them to say something. Cool? Any other questions? All right, so if you have a request, something that you want to do marketing wise, if you email it to me at glenbaker@morrisagent, I will come next week with a chat GPT prompt built for your request. So if you're looking to do something, whether it's a campaign, a letter, or other things, I'll absolutely do that for next week if you shoot it over to me, and I'll do it for yours in specific. Okay? All right, cool. Sorry we ran over.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I really appreciate it. Before you guys hop off from this, please stay for 1 second. Tyler is on. He's doing his last training until Glenn's sessions are over. So please stay here. Tyler, I'm going to stop the record and start again. Before you guys hop off, just listen to him, what he's about to share with you guys, and then you decide if you want to stay or not. But just hold for 1 second.
Thank you, Elena. Glenn, that's